I always lose the first few seconds. Sorry for starting a little bit late. I'm not super late. It is 3:24, no, 3:34. And I said I would start at 3:30, so I'm about 4 minutes late. But for good reason, because I just was having a hard time making time to watch all of the music videos. So I finally got all the music videos watched, so I can talk about them while I'm talking about these things. And yes, there is an IHOP and a hotel behind me. I'm trying to find new and creative places to park my car. Also, in 2 weeks, I will be parking my car somewhere strange, I'm sure, because me and Stevie are going on vacation. Yeah. We haven't been on vacation in so long. It's been, oh my gosh, I think it's been like, no. The last time me and Stevie went on vacation was before the pandemic. And so we actually haven't been on vacation in 6 years. And we're going on a road trip, not this coming week, but the week after. So close to the end of the list, I will be in some exotic locale doing my thing with you guys. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, time to talk about these albums. I have to say, this week was hard. I thought last week was hard because I wasn't in K-pop listening mode really, and I knew that I would have to like get myself back into it. But this week was way harder than last week. Last week, at least, there were a couple of things that I heard right off the bat, and I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. This is great. This week, well, there were a couple of things I heard that right off the bat, I'm like, oh, this is super cute. There were a lot of things I had to listen to over and over again. In fact, last night, I did a trick that I normally do when I want to like really get into music. I went for a drive. I went for a 2-hour drive to listen to every album at least one more time, because I listened to them throughout the week. I've listened to them all week long. I've spent Saturdays after I get off here with you, I'll go and I'll listen to the music. I'll listen to it on my commute back and forth to work. I listen to it when I'm in the car with Stevie. Like, I'm really listening to these albums because I want to give as fair a critique as possible, which means I'm listening to them during the daytime, but I'm also listening to them when I'm distracted. I'm listening to them when I'm thinking about other things. I'm listening to them while I'm having conversations with somebody else. So I wanted to make sure with this listen that I listened to all of these albums by myself when I could concentrate the best. And usually the best time to concentrate on an album is when you're talking nighttime. If I am at night listening to an album, I do so much better because I really can just like concentrate on the lyrics and the sound. There's no visual impediments. And usually Stevie doesn't like to do nighttime driving. It freaks her out. So I'm by myself. And it was still kind of a slog. I don't know if it's because daylight savings or because I was tired, but yeah, like it was tough. It was really tough. So let's go ahead and talk about the week, and we'll talk about these 7 albums. So the first album we are starting with Triple S with their album Ensemble, which I think is their first full group album, because if I recall, Triple S is like, it's a group full of sub-units. And then they finally like did their whole thing together. I want to say that there's some former members of Luna in Triple S. There's people, there's some shenanigans and bullshit going on with Triple S, if I recall. I think they were having a hard time promoting on music shows, and some other stuff was going on with them. My memory for K-pop who's and whens is not the best, but those of you who remember can comment. But I knew that there were some things going on with them, and this album came out May 8th, 2024. So it's, oh, no. Yeah, it's almost a year old. It came out 10 months ago. It sold 211,000 copies in Korea. That's not bad for a new group, but it's not great because I know they've been out for a while. And I don't know, man. Okay, so it's like Sarah said, the intro of the album sounds like they're going to be doing rock. And there are a couple of songs on there that have like pop sensibilities and even like a little bit of rapping, but there's some guitar added to it, which is cool. It's okay. But like, this album really is like, it's like somebody was asked to make a K-pop album that was like every genre that every girl group out there is doing right now. And don't get me wrong, this album is still a lot of fun, and there's a lot of really creative things going on here. There's some very interesting production. There's some really shitty sound mixing on this album. I will say that for sure. Like, there are a lot of times where the vocals just sounded so muted compared to the music itself, and there are a lot of times where you cannot tell who is singing because everybody kind of sounds sort of the same. So in terms of the album, it's not the best thing ever, but I think that's, I have to wonder if the reason why it feels so scattershot is because it is a group that has so many subunits that the only way to really give everybody their opportunity is by doing the styles that said subunits are associated with, and then putting all of those styles onto one project. But it does make for kind of a schizophrenic listen. The songs that I picked as my favorite songs were Heart Raider, White Soul Sneakers, and I liked the very beginning of Beyond the Beyond. But honestly, the songs don't really stand out. And again, it's because there's so many different pop styles and things that you've heard in K-pop that are on this album. And so after a while, it's like, yeah, I don't remember the last song because this next song is so different. And there's hardly any ballads. I think there's like maybe some mid-tempo stuff, but I don't think there's any ballads on this album. It is just straight up like K-pop through and through. Boom, 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 K-pop. But yeah, like, they would have really good ideas on this album. Like, White Soul Sneakers for me is one of the best sounding songs on this album. It is such a cool kind of like 90s, early 2000s Euro dance sound to me. But it has very safe vocals on it, and it's mixed again horribly. And so I don't think anybody's gonna ever hear this song unless you really care about these girls, because once you heard the single, which I believe the single was, what is the name of the lead single? Fuck, I watched the video. Oh, Girls Never Die. Once you hear Girls Never Die, I just don't think that you're going to want to listen to the rest of the album. Oh, Being Tricked by the intro leads into Girls Never Die, which is like very pop with these kind of rock sounds. So if you want to hear their kind of pop rock combination, Girls Never Die is the track. It's the title track for the project. Also, like, I'm not sure why it's called Girls Never Die, but the video is super, how do I put this? The video feels very defeatist. Is that the way to put it? The video very much feels like these girls are experiencing some type of psychosis because nothing is going their way. Like, at one point, this one girl's playing a game on her desktop computer and ants start crawling on her hands, and there's a fucking dead bird. At the very beginning of the video, dead birds are falling out of the sky left and right. Like, it's a very, two girls join hands and jump off a fucking rooftop. Like, it's just kind of weird feeling. It reminds me of the vibe of the Suicide Diaries, in that, like, pretty girls, pretty things, but also like an underlying suicide pact going on in the back, like something sinister going on in the background. But yeah, I don't think anybody listening to Girls Never Die would ever listen to the rest of this album and feel satisfied. And that's a problem, because yes, your lead track doesn't necessarily have to be indicative of the rest of the album, but it should give some idea of what styles or genres are going to be explored within the body of the album. And there's so many albums that I have listened to where that is not the thing, where like you hear the title track and you would have no clue what the rest of the album is about. IU was probably the biggest violator of that on this listen through. But yeah, I think the girls from Triple S, I can tell that the people who are producing them and working for them really care about these girls, because they did not pick bad songs. They did not pick songs that are super generic-y songs. Yes, they are trying every style that everybody else is doing, but they're doing really passable, really serviceable versions of what everyone else is doing. The problem is the sound mixing is trash. And the other problem is that, like, the vocals for certain members just don't stand out. And so honestly, it's really hard to tell how many girls are singing at one time and which girls are singing certain parts of this album. But that's how I feel about Triple S Assemble 24. I think it's a fine album. It's a fine album, but it's not great. All right, next we've got IVE with IVE Switch. This album sold worldwide 1.7 million, in Korea alone 1.75 million, and in Japan 71K. That's a lot of fucking albums. And I think it goes to show we are never going to get another Sistar. Not that I expect us to get another Sistar, because Sistar is of a style and place that's just not popular anymore. But like, why would you spend money trying to find a power vocalist when you could just find the most beautiful girls in the world who can carry a note and then stick them out there for the uncle fans to admire? Like, I was watching the videos for Heya and Ascendio, and I was like, this is all good, but like Ascendio, because it's storyline based, you can't tell who's singing what. When you watch Heya, they have really, provocative is not the word, but like hey that kind of dancing, very much for the uncle fan gaze. And there's nothing wrong with catering to the uncle fan, because a girl's got to make a living. I get it, we all need money, but it's one of those things where like, the videos are made so that the most popular members get the most screen time. The least popular members are almost basically background dancers in the group. The vocals, there is no emphasis in vocals. Yeah, there are some people who can sing a lot better than others, which is a difference between IVE and a Triple S, is that you can tell when it is certain people singing, but like, there's just nothing in the songs that really can make somebody feel like the concentration here is on the best vocal performances, or even doing like the best songs. It's more like, we have a lot of money and we've done a lot of market research and we've decided these are the appropriate songs for these girls to sing, and they are going to be mixed as best we can without showing any of the weaknesses of our members. And then we're going to film super glossy videos, that way the uncle fans could be happy. And that's what this is. Like, there's a couple of really fun songs on this album. My favorite songs on this album were Ice Queen and Reset. Reset because it feels very gay. Ice Queen because I liked a lot of the production notes in Ice Queen. I thought it was very interesting. But yeah, IVE is one of those groups that it just goes to show like the focus is never going to be on vocals again. And the reason why I bring up Sistar is because IVE is on Starship, and Starship was the home of Sistar. And Starship had struggled for a minute. Like, Cosmic Girls really didn't do what Starship expected them to do. Monster X got off to not necessarily a slow start, but not as quick a start as they had hoped for. And Gravity, like, I'm shocked that Gravity still does music. Like, literally, I am shocked. But IVE, on the other hand, have been fucking gangbusters for Starship. They have been keeping the lights on, the doors open, and the heat staying blowing. They've been doing everything that Starship needs them to do. And for that reason, I'm happy for these girls. I'm happy for these girls. I'm happy for this company. But at the same time, it's like, why would we do any kind of artist development when it comes to sound when we could just pick really cute girls? And we can hire really good producers and make mediocre voices sound passable, and then put that shit out in these streets. And it just makes me sad, because I wish that there was more. Because I think that IVE has got some real cool girls. Also, one thing we don't talk about enough, but we need to, IVE is probably the best outcome anyone could ever have of a group of girls after a produce season. Like, really and truly, Starship won. They won. They got the very best result from produce of any company that's ever sent anybody to produce. This company has done so well with their picks for produce, and it shows with the sales. I mean, these sales are tremendous sales. So, you know, I'm happy for IVE, I'm happy for Starship, but at the same time, it's just kind of sad to know, like, there's not going to be any investment in, like, great singers. I think that the girls from IVE have been better singers than they've been in the past. But yeah, there's not going to be another Hyolyn in these streets. you're gonna have a lot more Dassoms. All right, on to album 21. This was my favorite album, you guys. Oh my gosh, when I saw that this was on the list for this week, I was so excited because I knew I was gonna love this fucking album. Now, I liked the singles. I remember hearing Smoke and Dandelion and Roses and being like, oh, this is cute. And then I just forgot about this album. I don't know what happened, but I just never got around to listening to the B-sides. I got a chance to listen to the B-sides. I really, really love this fucking album. I didn't put the dates that these albums came out on this page because I forgot that I was putting dates, which I feel really bad about because I'm trying to be consistent. So I'm going to try to remember to put the dates that the album came out next time we get together. But this album sold 448,000 units in Korea, and in Japan it sold 13K. Now, in Korea, selling 500,000 units may not seem great, but we're talking about a soloist, first time out. And also, not for nothing, Jaehyun's a really good singer in terms of like, his music is super enjoyable and he's definitely got a voice. But it's funny because the whole time I was listening to this album, I'm like, I feel like this is a cross between V from BTS and Baekhyun. I feel like this is like those two voices kind of fighting for dominance in Jaehyun's voice. But yeah, in terms of solos, this is pretty freaking good. And this album sold more than IU did. So yeah, pretty freaking good numbers. But in terms of the album itself, so much fun. So much fun. Jaehyun, he really is a businessman. He really is a businessman. And when I call him a businessman, I don't say that because I'm trying to make fun of him or anything like that. But I was watching the videos and I was seeing some of like the audio snippets and other stuff. And I'm like, this kid knows what the fans like. Okay, not to put our family business out in the streets, but those of you who've been with me for a long time, hey Ulysses, and know the deal, you know that a few years ago, part of the reason why so many African American girls really enjoyed K-pop was because of AMBW. I never was a big AMBW girl. I never was. But like, I would say from Rain On, there were a lot of AMBW girls, and that is Asian men, black women pairings. And if it has died off in recent years, Jaehyun came in to stomp the door open and say, it is me. I'm the one you need to fantasize about now. Because the vibes are so very, like, I love black culture. I'm an Asian man and I do Asian man things, but I love black culture. That is the theme, the overall feeling of this album. And I don't blame him. One of the biggest shortcuts in pop music, Justin Timberlake could tell you, is get in with the black fans, and then when the time comes that you've made enough money, turn your back on them. But yeah, like, really and truly, I'm like, this boy knows what the fuck he's doing. Not only that, but like, the video for Smoke kind of gives like self-cessed a little bit, and I was like, hey. So yeah, like, he's hitting all of the groups, the fan fiction writers, the AMBWs. You know, there's no real female lead for his videos, so you know, a lot of the queer men can really enjoy these songs. And then like, he has an official audio video for Can't Get You, which he's dressed kind of like Neo, like the baseball cap with the button-up shirt. It's wild. Anyway, smart man, doing smart things, marketing his ass off. It started snowing since we started recording. I hope y'all have noticed that. But yeah, my favorite songs on the album, I really, really like Roses. I think Roses is really cool. I like Can't Get You. I don't know what it is about Can't Get You, but I kept thinking about that song over and over again after I turned the album off. Like, it stayed stuck in my head. And because it stayed stuck in my head, I'm like, this must be my favorite. I don't know what to tell you. I think because it's stuck in my head, it must be a favorite. But yeah, I really dug the album. I still think that Jaehyun needs a little bit more vocal training. And I'm not saying that to be rude to him at all. Like I said, I feel like his voice is a cross between Baekhyun and V from BTS. And I think these are good examples. I think these are good people to aspire to be like. But he's not quite Baekhyun. And stylistically, his voice isn't as suited for some of the things he's trying to do as a V is. Like when V did his project the year before last, 2023, I remember thinking he picked music that really suits his voice and his style, even though he's not the greatest singer. And I think Jaehyun was very aspirational with the songs that he chose. And in some places, his voice really wasn't well suited for some of the moments. But the songs were good anyway, and I really enjoyed it. Also, I have to talk about the title of one of the songs in this album. There is a song on this album called Flamin' Hot Lemon, where he's talking about how he loves the taste of flamin' hot lemon. What is that? Is that a thing in Korea? Like, I'm not saying it to yuck anybody's yum. I've literally never heard of flaming hot lemon. I've heard of flaming hot Cheetos, but I've never heard of flaming hot lemon. First of all, flaming hot lemon sounds like it would burn the shit out of your tongue. So not sure if I'm necessarily interested, but I'm like, okay, maybe it's like the flavor of a tea, like flaming hot lemon, like hot lemon tea. But yeah, I'm like, what is flaming hot lemon? And also, like, you taste like flaming hot lemon? I don't know what that means. I don't know. Anyway, I agree, Sarah. That was wild. But yeah, Jaehyun's album, one of my favorites as well. It's funny, the two solos from SM have been some of my favorites because I really like Tin's solo. I really like Jaehyun's solo. So yeah, I've enjoyed my solo time with different SM charges. However, we have to talk about SM again because number 20 is NCT Dream's Dreamscape. Did not like this album. I did not dig this album. Last year, I did a review of an NCT Dream album, and I actually liked it better than the NCT 127 album, which surprised me because, one, I have more of a history with NCT 127, and two, I never thought I'd be a Dreamy. I just never thought I'd be a fan. This proves that I'm not really a fan. I'm fake fan. It's not for me. This album sold really well. In Korea, it sold 2.5 million plus units. That's buku bonkers banana. That's wild. That's fucking wild. So somebody's loving this shit. And in Japan, it sold 35K. So yeah, I appreciate that the fans are there. Thank you, Sarah. Basic Chat GPT album. This album was so... You know how sometimes a group will put out a fan service song? Like, they'll put out a song called, like, My Beautiful Girl, she's the one that I love. I'll always be here for you because you're my dove. Like, that kind of shit. This album is an album full of that. Like, it's not just one. This album full of that. And it's so weird because it really felt like in the last album that I reviewed for NCT Dream that they were going in a more maybe adult direction. This one is just like, we're kids again, guys. Bring out the roller skates and lollipops. I don't get it. And then I watched the videos. The video for Flying Kiss is abysmal. Like, it really is just a bunch of like close-ups and woo, and staring at each other and staring at the camera and being cute. Now, Mark's singing voice. I do need to talk about that. I did not realize that Mark could actually sing. His singing voice is actually pleasant, so I need to give him his credit. I cannot wait to hear his solo album because he is the busiest, hardest working man in all of K-pop, and I just would like to see what he does when he has a project totally himself. But I digress. But yeah, like, this album, the Flying Kiss video is an example of like all the shit that goes on with this album. It is really a super middle of the road. We don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to make any big statements. We don't want to be a part of any particular genre. We're just making music because it's time for an album to come out. The songs I like the best, I liked When I'm With You, which has a video. The video is very cute. I like the song You because it was memorable. I could remember it. And I did like Parts of Heavenly. Parts of Heavenly. But other than that, man, that album was... Of all the albums that were the hardest to listen to this week, that one was one that really drove me nuts. I felt like I would listen to the songs and then I would immediately forget them. I Hate Fruits is super weird, Sarah, you're right. I would like listen to these songs and I'd be like, okay. And then 2 seconds later, I wouldn't remember anything about it. Wouldn't remember anything about it. So yeah, I just, super forgettable. Cannot believe they sold so many albums. I hope their next album does well. But this was not fun. It was not, and it was long. Oh my gosh. Last week, everything was so fucking short. This one, I want to say it was like 10, 11 songs. It felt like forever. So trying to get in 2 or 3 listens was torture. I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. I know Alex is going to love this fucking album. I know he will, because that's what he likes. He likes cutie boys. But this was sickening cute. All right, next album was number 19 with Stray Kids 8. This album actually did literally eat, like, worldwide 2.9 million. In Korea, 3.1 million. My God. Japan, 246K. The US, 449K. My God. So many sales. So many sales. I hope that Stray Kids has the same deal that GOT7 had when it comes to, like, royalties and whatnot, because the money these babies is making. And also, I see them all the time on my timeline. Like, I'm always seeing their different fashion campaign moments. I'm always seeing clips from their little interviews. Like, I'm seeing so much of them all the time, and I'm so happy for them. I really, truly am happy for them. I am just not a Stray Kids fan. I don't hate Stray Kids. I don't feel anything negative towards Stray Kids. If I had to choose between Stray Kids and 17, I would choose Stray Kids every time. But I have to say, this album actually kind of got to me. I know, Sarah, I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it, but I think I figured out why I like this and you don't. So, when I first turned on 8, the first song I had to listen to was Mountains. And I was like, ugh, not more of this Eminem gym rap music. Mountains, I'm stepping on mountains. I was like, I don't care for this. Then Jam, I was like, singing about peanut butter and jelly. Then Chick Boom, and I'm like, the soundtrack from Deadpool. Then we got to I Like It, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Is this the same group? When did they start doing this stuff? And I'm like, I really like I Like It. I think it's super duper cute. I really, really enjoy it. Then Runner came on, and I'm like, I like this shit too. This is actually quite fun. I'm having a good time. Then Twilight came on, and I'm like, I would listen to this. If somebody else told me it was a different group, I'd believe them. I would never believe this is Stray Kids. I really love this song. Then they got to Stray Kids, and it was like, okay, y'all are singing about coming up from the elevator. This is obviously you. Also, I find it very weird that there's so many projects deep in their career, and they're like, let's do a song about us. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, okay, when you say they need a better English teacher and some better writers, don't they write themselves? And also, aren't like 2 or 3 of them completely fluent in English because they're from like Australia? I didn't think the English was bad. What I thought was weird, and actually I didn't notice it until I watched the video for Jam. So in the video for Jam, I didn't realize that they were saying peanut butter jelly time. Like, you've heard it. Peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time. Say peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. Now where yet? I did not realize they were referencing that in that song. And that's because what the Stray Kids do, which I think we forget about a lot, and I didn't think about it more until I started watching IU's videos. I'm like, oh, that's what the hell is going on. A lot of times when Stray Kids sings in English, they're doing Kringlish. I don't know if that's the term, but they're doing English in a way that Korean audiences would recognize it as English. Because they speak English, but they know that their Korean audiences aren't really going to dig real English because they're used to speaking broken English when they speak to each other in English. So like, okay, we need to make it, one, fit the rhyme scheme, So it's going to be weird. But 2, we need it to be something where our Korean audiences won't feel bad for not being able to pronounce these words. So we'll do them in a way that they can pronounce. And so it's quite clever that people who grew up speaking English all the time are able to be like, I'm code switching for my people so that they will understand this, they will get this, and they'll be able to enjoy this. But yeah, they've got some native speakers in the group, but they just do funny, weird things with their English. Watching the translated lyrics for Jam on the video was a complete revelation. Like, I didn't know what the song was about because, you know, they do, like I said, Kringlish. But then watching the video, I realized it really is just a whole song about fucking peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly with a baseball bat. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Good for you guys. I'm enjoying this. Let's all enjoy. But yeah, like, I did not think I would like a Stray Kids album because I worked really hard last year to like get past my biases to enjoy Stray Kids last year. But this year I was a fan of it. I really was a fan of it. I still am not happy with the whole, like, you know, super aggressive rap thing that they do. Like, it really is like gym bro rap music in my opinion. But one thing I have to say is that if there was ever an argument why BTS needs to get back to their roots, this album is the proof in the proposition. Because Stray Kids, in my opinion, don't really sound that different than they did when they came out. Like, I can still hear a lot of the same things that they've been doing this whole time in this album. And that whole being very kind of rapper focused instead of vocal focused, that was what BTS was when they first came out. And I was listening to this thinking, like, these people are selling albums really hard. Like, they are really pushing albums. And I think that that's something that I have felt like a hater for a long time. I felt like I was hating because I'm like, this new BTS sound I don't jive with. It doesn't really do it for me. And I feel so attached to early BTS. And I realize it's because the style is different. It is very kind of making concessions to get the most people to listen to the albums. It's almost like they pulled an NCT Dream. Or NCT Dream is pulling a BTS where it's like, now that we've become super popular, let's make the most generic, middle of the road, unaffected, standoutish music we can. And I feel like Stray Kids is proving like you don't have to do that. You can still get the world to buy the shit that you want them to buy and still do the shit that you're used to doing and that you got known for doing. You don't have to turn around and do everything that the people who juggle the algorithm and who run these companies tell you to do. You can get out there with what made you famous and you can still do that. And I feel like that's what Stray Kids is doing. I really do feel like you could be somebody who could get introduced to Stray Kids on this album, and you could go back in their discography and you would find at least 10 different things you like if you like this album. Well, I mean, unless you like the songs I like. If you like the songs that I like, you might be disappointed. But if you like Mountains, Jam, Chick Chick Boom, then you can listen to those songs and you could go back in the discography and you would find so many things you love. And I think that's nice. I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, kudos to you, Stray Kids. I'm giving you your props because you deserve. Now let's give somebody no props. IU's winning. Sold 377K in Korea. In Japan, sold 2K. I did not enjoy this listening experience at all. Man, what a fucking slog. I have liked IU in the past. I've bought IU albums. I've waxed poetically about IU. This was so fucking bad. This was so bad. So on Shopper, she's doing some anti-capitalist statement. I watched the video. Girl, this wasn't it. And the sound was very Carly Rae Jepsen, if I had to pick a sound to compare it to. But it just was like, girl, what? Then she has Halsey, which is one of the songs I actually liked on the album. I thought that song was okay, but I also thought it was a little dreary sounding. Then she has a Shh, I think is the name of the song. Wasn't a fan of that. She had I Stand You, which I remember thinking like this song would be great if it had totally different production. Like if they took the bone, like the melody and the vocals, and just threw away the entire production and did a totally different backing track on it. But that song was kind of boring. And I use of English. She uses a lot of Kringlish, so like you're listening to it and all of a sudden you realize what she's actually meaning to say because you heard it wrong the first time. But this album, man. Love Wins All is a beautiful song, and the video is very compelling. Her and V look like a beautiful couple, and he's acting, and when he gets back from the military, he needs to really get into his acting bag. I'm sure there is a producer, someone out there that would hire him. I don't know if you guys have heard the news, but apparently Hollywood cast based on how many Instagram followers you have. So V could get in somebody's movie tomorrow because he's got the followers. But like, the video is really great, but the song is just another big IU ballad. I had not even heard the song until I had to do this listen through. So I listened to the song first, then I watched the video. And then I watched the video for Halsey, then I watched the video for Shopper. The video for Halsey and the video for Shopper both are sitting at a little under 10 million each. The video for Love Wins All has 90 million plus views. And what's crazy is that Shopper has DPRE in it. If you watch the video for Shopper, it has DPRE in it. But like, yeah, I think that IU needs to do something else. I think she needs to do something else. I agree. Full on ballady or full on quirky. Like either do traditional Korean balladry or do something from like the distant 60s, 70s past, or do something that's like bossa nova, 1920s jazz. Like just go wild, go crazy. But this was so bland. It was so bland. It's so bland. IU, I'm so disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed in you for this album. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. There have been times when IU has done things that really weren't my favorite, but I respected her for doing these things because you could tell like she's an artist and she's expressing an artistic interest. But this album really felt like these might have been leftovers from other projects, and she was scrambling to like put out something because she's trying to fulfill the terms of her record label contract. So she said, here, take this. Like, it's really what it felt like. It really felt like I have to deliver a certain amount of projects in order to satisfy my record deal, and I'm running out of time. So here are some leftovers from all these other different things, all songs I recorded 3 to 5 years ago, and here is the project. I hate when artists do shit like that because they're wasting my time. That's what makes me mad about the situation. It's not even that I don't sympathize with the fact that you need to do your contractual obligations. It's about the fact that I have to listen to it, and you're now wasting precious moments of my life I'll never get back. All right. And then lastly, we have Red Velvet's Cosmic, which sold less than IU. Cosmic sold 314K. In Japan, it sold 6.5K. I don't know if that means that IU sells really great or that Red Velvet is selling abysmally, but they sold less than IU. They sold less than Jaehyun. Like, they did not do well. And it's a shame because honestly, there is a 3-song run on this little album that is quite nice. But I remember reviewing Red Velvet last year and saying that I felt like Red Velvet was playing on the B team at SM. I felt like no one at SM is really trying to give Red Velvet their flowers. No one at SM is really trying to do right by Red Velvet. I felt like all they do is experiment with Red Velvet, and what works they give to other people, and what doesn't work they throw away. And this album could have been a return to form. But goddamn, SM doesn't just consistently know how to fuck shit up. So the video for Cosmic is basically SM ripping off the entire concept of Midsommar. There's no other way around it. There's nothing else that can be said. It is literally Midsommar. That's all it is. It is costuming. It is film style. It is eeriness. All of it is Midsommar. And it don't have to be that way. There are plenty of Korean movies that could have been ripped off if you want to. Now, I don't know if SM, because they got new people, they're like, oh, well, you know, Red Velvet's a Korean group, and that is a Western movie, so nobody is going to notice that we're ripping off Midsommar. Baby, that movie, the reason why you know about it is because it's that famous. So why would you do that? So that fucked up the release of the song, because like the video came out and then had to be retracted. Then they had to add a credit to the makers of Midsommar because they fully ripped off their shit. And it's just like, God damn it. Why do y'all do this? Red Velvet is always getting in trouble for some shit with their videos. They're either getting in trouble because somebody accused them of stealing their costumes. They're getting in trouble because there's some type of weird propaganda shit in the background of a video, or because they're ripping off a full concept. Like, it just... These girls cannot catch a fucking break. Also, I have complaints about the song Cosmic. I think that you're right. A Cosmic themed video could have been great. They could have done a video similar to like The Shape of Water, maybe, where like they work in a research facility, there's an alien being kept under wraps, and they are trying to rescue this alien, get them back to their home planet. An E.T. takeoff type thing, but not like a complete rip-off, something similar, not the same. But the song itself, my biggest complaint about the song is I love how funky the verses are. And then after the pre-chorus, it is just kids bop. And I just don't know what SM is afraid of. Why does the song always have to be either the Red or Red Velvet? Why can't the song just be Velvet? You know, like, I haven't really enjoyed Birthday and a lot of these other classical music mixed with pop songs. I was really excited to get an attempt at doing something a little bit funkier, a little bit deeper in the pocket. And so you get that, you know, doom, 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 doom part in the verses, right? But then you get to the chorus and it's just lollipops and rainbows and floating off on your spaceship into space. And I'm just like, there's nobody who can tell me that these choruses go with these verses. They don't. Even though they do a great job in the pre-chorus of trying to get us there, it shouldn't have to work that hard to get us to something that sounds like every other fucking song that Red Velvet has been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. If you put all the songs that Red Velvet has been doing since Psycho together, this chorus, leave off the verses, leave off the pre-chorus, this chorus sounds like all them other fucking choruses. And I'm fucking sick of it. When did we get afraid to do a bad boy? When did we get afraid to commit to the bit? And I think that's what fucked up this album. And it's crazy because there are other songs on this album that are Velvet. Last Drop, Love Arcade, Bubble. They're great songs, and they commit to the either or of the concept, and they work. I really enjoy those 3 songs, especially Bubble. I don't know what it is about Bubble, but Bubble got it. But yeah, it's just like, is it because Irene didn't re-sign with SM? Is that the problem? Are you committed to trying to push away the other ones as well? Because that's what it fucking feels like. It feels like because Irene didn't come back, they decided that we're going to push the other 4 out the nest too. I happened to listen to Seulgi's album last night. The B-sides are quite all right. The lead song, Banana's bad. Is Seulgi picking these lead songs? Because, like, the B-sides sound like a girl who enjoys California and R&B. And then the lead songs, I I don't know who the fuck those songs are for. I don't know who can dance to those songs. I don't know who's going to be listening to them in their car on their way to where the fuck ever. I don't know who's singing along to these songs. I don't know what the fuck is happening. I look at the album art, and the album art matches the lead song, but then the rest of the album, the majority of the album, is something totally fucking different, and something that I think, if marketed, could do really well. Because every fucking time anybody wants Seulgi to duet with them, they always have her singing some type of little soulful ass riff. Every time anybody asks Seulgi to sing with them, she's always doing something either a little soulful or a little R&B tinged, something, you know, a little bit jazzy. And then when she does her own stuff, she's like, I want to do a song from a Marvel movie soundtrack. And it's like, girl, what the fuck? Why is this happening? I love Red Velvet. I still, even through this experience of feeling like Cosmic should have been better, even through the very next song that I thought was not good on the mini, I still thought, like, the thing I love the most about Red Velvet is that they have such a tight 5-piece. Really and truly, like, listening to Red Velvet, I'm like, I can see why people who are fans of SHINee love Red Velvet. Because their 5-piece goes hard. Everyone is singing. Even Yeri, who for years we were like, why is this girl a part of the group? I feel like more now than ever before she has found her place. They sing and they know each other. And when you hear them incorporate all their voices together, they give enough room between voices to really enjoy the sound of their voices. And their harmonies are beautiful. Red Velvet has always had a gorgeous harmony. And when you have bare bones like that, you give them your best song and watch that shit soar to the stars. That's not what they're fucking doing. And it's pissing me off. It's really, really pissing me off. So, yeah. This week made me sad. It made me sad because, like, I was like, okay, if everyone is loving the things that I don't understand, am I just getting too fucking old? But people aren't loving it. And that's the thing that also, the reason why I would bring the sales numbers in. Part of the reason why I brought the sales numbers in is because the people don't like this as much as I don't like this. And people hunger for difference. That's the reason why Jaehyun did so well. He sold more than IU, and he sold more than IU not just because of the international fans of NCT, but because there's people in Korea who want to fucking sing Smoke and Dandelion and all the other songs too. I look at something like Triple S for 11K, not the best, but still pretty good for Nuku. I look at an album like, let's go with, I'm not going to choose ITZY as one here, but let's go with 10. 10 sold 179K. Not the best, but still, there was 12K in Japan, which is not bad at all. Not bad at all. There's a lot of people who could say less. You know, I'm looking at something like a Billy. They did actually pretty decent in 2023. They didn't do as great in 2024, but that's okay because we all go through our ups and downs. But when you sit in your purpose, when you sit in your stylistic choices, when you perform with a conviction that you actually believe in the material that you're putting out, people want to hear it, people want to see it, people want to know it. And I just feel like when you don't give a fuck about it, the rest of us can tell. I think the only time that the fans have really not got the plot is like with Sticker. For some reason, NCT fans, even myself, really love the song Sticker, and NCT can't stand that shit. But for the most part, when you have a passion for it, your passion translates through the albums. We feel that passion. We love that passion. We want to contribute to that passion. We want to be a part of that passion. And we could have been there with you. But so many times, capitalism wins. And that's also the super fucking ironic thing about IU doing a song about capitalism. It's so fucking ironic to me for you to do a song about greed is free, shop, let's do another haul, and doing it in a way where it's very clear that you're making fun of it, but at the same time you were like, I have a fucking album of leftovers, how can I get this shit to sell? Oh, I know, let's just go ahead and get one of the guys from the most popular boy group and throw him in the video. That'll help this shit sell. Girl, you care about money just as much as the rest of us. So I don't know what this commentary is about capitalism, but keep that shit to yourself. Because you want to sell these albums just as much as anybody else. Yeah, Marvel should, SM needs to let that Marvel shit go. But it's going around. I mean, Stray Kids is doing Marvel shit, so it's not just SM who's doing Marvel stuff. But yeah, it was hard. Let's talk about what our next week will be. Let's focus on the positive. With it, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, tune into the affirmative. Don't mess with it, Mr. In Between. That's a song from the old days. Y'all wouldn't know nothing about that. All right, so speak of the devil. Number 16 will be Beckon's Hello World. We were just talking about Beckon. We were talking about Jahan. Number 15 will be Kiss of Life. Lose Yourself. That should be fun. Number 14 is Rise with Rising. Hey, I remember listening to that over the summer and having some positive thoughts. Baby Monster Drip is number 13. Number 12 will be NCT's 127. What's the name of that damn album? I don't know. I didn't write it down. I wrote NCT 127 and I wrote nothing. Number 11 is P Harmony, Killing It. Number 10 is J-Hope's Hope on the Street, Volume 1. I think we're going to have a good time next week. Yeah, we're going to have a good time next week. A little dull in the middle, but I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Walk. Thank you. I'm going to write that down. Thank you for Walk. W-A-L-K. Got it. Thank you, boss. But yeah, I look forward to this next week. I have faith. I'm going to continue to hope and pray. Also, I need y'all to tell me as much as you can. Well, no, not as much as you can. I'm not really interested in reading no whole bunch. I need y'all to tell me why you like P Harmony. Because I know you guys probably don't recall, but I had asked for people to like recommend groups for me to listen to so I can get back into K-pop. And I was recommended P Harmony. And this summer, when I went to go visit Mason, well, not this summer, but last summer, when I went to go visit Mason, I listened to P1 Harmony and I did not get it. I wanted to. I didn't get it. So I really need y'all to tell me like why or what it is that draws y'all to P1 Harmony. I really want to understand. Because P1 Harmony is a boy group. But it's weird because like I feel like I have so many people who enjoy the same music that I do who are like, you would love P1 Harmony. And I listen to them and I'm like, so I want to like Killing It. I do. I sincerely do. But we shall see. All right. Well, you guys, it's been close to an hour. I really enjoyed this time. So this has not been a waste at all. This has been super duper fun. And even though it snowed outside, I'm not actually cold. It's actually fairly warm in here. Let me talk to you guys real quick before we go anywhere about recent K-pop events. I would not feel good getting out of here without talking about recent K-pop events. First, rest in peace, Wheesung. Rest in peace. I could not believe it when I read that Wheesung had passed away. Also, rest in peace, Khalil Fong. Like, my God. I talked about Khalil Fong last week, I believe, and I talked about how I had got an album or two from him when he was still living, that I really enjoyed his approach to kind of neo-soul, but in a C-pop style. And I was really sad to hear that he passed away. Wheesung passing away really hurt. It really hurt. It hurt because of everything he's been through. First of all, he started with YG. That is a tough company to get out from under. It's just, there's so many people who fail after they leave YG. But then Hui Sung struggled with propofol addiction, which, God, up until a couple years ago, I did not know you could develop a propofol addiction. Propofol is what killed Michael Jackson. Straight up. It is the type of anesthetic that puts you under for surgeries. It's not a street drug. I don't know what's going on in Korea or how it became a street drug in Korea, but it's not a street drug. It is legitimately like surgical shit. And Hui Sung apparently has been accused of abusing propofol since 2011. But the thing is, propofol abuse, it's not a thing that people do to get high. It's a thing that people do to rest. It's something that people use when their mind is going 1,000 miles a minute and they're doing all of these different obligations and they just need to fucking relax. And apparently he had an addiction to that. And there is speculation that he died of heart disease or some kind of physical condition that it wasn't, he did not take his own life, but that it could have been related to the years of propofol abuse. And it's just, he was 43. He was younger than me. He's younger than me. And it just is so shocking, one, to have somebody in my same age group pass away like that. But two, to know that, like, towards the end of his life, he was kind of a pariah. People really didn't want to talk about him. He wasn't really getting booked the way that he used to. He was having to try to recover his, he was trying to recover his character because of drug abuse that was funneled by the fact that he had to maintain this career. And it's like overnight, everyone forgot about how absolutely groundbreaking his sound was in K-pop. How he introduced neo-soul stylings to the K-pop masses before you have a Jaehyun doing a whole R&B ass album. And I mean, as a Xiaowao in particular, the fact that Jongin loved him so much and that he helped write fucking Hallelujah. Like, his contribution to K-pop cannot be understated. And it is really sad that this happened to him. And it's really sad that in his last years, he did not have the opportunity to bask in his legacy. Instead, he was out there because drugs. And no one asking the question as to why. No one asking the question as to how can we help? How can we find the source of why you cling to this substance and eliminate that pain and get you back out there? But again, we cannot talk about what happened with Lee Sung and about people being thrown away without talking about Kim Se-ran and Kim Soo-hyun. So I didn't know much about Kim Se-ran. I remember hearing about her drunk driving and thinking, yeah, girl, drunk driving, it's over, it's a chop. Because, you know, when it comes to celebrity, why are you even fucking driving yourself? Like, honestly, if I was a celebrity, the only time I would be driving my own car is if I was wanting to go test out a brand new sports vehicle or something. But I would not be driving my own car, especially when it came to like going out to drinks and stuff with the friends. No, I've got a driver waiting for me. They're going to take me home. So I remember at the time being like, girl, drunk driving is a chop. I didn't know about anything having to do with her ties with Kim Soo-hyun. I had no idea about any of that shit because I don't follow him. I gave up K-dramas a long time ago. And he was one of the last big names from K-dramas that I recall because I remember seeing him in Dream High. I remember him in that one period piece. I can't remember the name of it now, but I just remember it had like some really graphic, horrific death and torture scenes. And I remember him from My Star from Another World. Those were the three big ones that I remember seeing him in. Outside of that, I did not follow him like that. And yes, the moon embraces the sun. There you go. That thing was violent. That was a very violent show, and a lot of snotty nose crying in that one. But anyway, I knew that he had gone to the military. I knew that there was there had been some controversy with his agency, his acting agency. But I really didn't follow him like that, honest and truly, because I had gotten into boys love, and by then a K-drama couldn't tell me nothing. But Kim Se-ron, she took her own life on his birthday. And people were like, oh, do you remember a couple of years ago when she put his picture of them like hugging each other on her Instagram? What an attention seeker. Fuck that bitch. But then there were others who were like, it must mean something that a girl this young would post a picture like this and kill herself on that man's birthday. That seems like a message. What message could that be? Well, when you're a successful person like Kim Se-yeon, and you're the most popular K actor, like you make the most money, the media is not really interested in these messages, at least the mainstream media. The people who have contracts with the networks that are hoping to get you to star in their show, they have no interest in finding out what this connection is. But you know who does? Fucking gossip bloggers. They do. They say, I don't have shit to lose. Let's ask the question. So some fucking incel manosphere-ass blogger actually did something right for once in his miserable ass life and decided to investigate. And that's when Kim Se-ron's family came out and said, yes, she had a relationship with this man. Yes, she killed herself because of this man. Because this man demanded that she pay back all these hundreds of thousands of dollars that he told her he had taken care of for her. And why did she believe he had taken care of this for her? Because they had been dating since she was 16 years old and dated for 6 years. And he only dropped her off because she got in trouble for the DUI. She left YG Entertainment's acting unit, one of the better acting agencies in the industry, to go join this man, a gold medalist, where they basically paid her dust and didn't get her any good projects. Because this man was writing her fucking love letters while he was in the military. He was writing love letters to a fucking 18, 17-year-old while he was in the military. And then his gold medalist agent's like, oh, well, they never dated. That's what he said before she died. He didn't show up to her funeral. Tactless. But yeah, they're like, oh, they never dated. Then all of a sudden, when the pictures of him kissing her and the love letters and the other pictures come out, all of a sudden it's, well, he didn't start dating her until she was an adult. Bitch, who the fuck cares? If I know a kid since they were a kid, I cannot date them when they're an adult because that is grooming. It's grooming. It's grooming. When someone's known you since they were a kid, they trust you. And they don't question the things that you tell them because they've been groomed to believe what you say. And they've been groomed to believe that you care about them. And they've been groomed to believe in you because they've spent the majority of their mind-building time with you. If I've known somebody since I was a kid, they're basically like aunt, uncle, whatever. I trust them. If my parents let me be around them, my parents trust them. Fuck her parents too, by the way. Because if a grown-ass man came around my 16-year-old, police, help, police. I would find a way to get evidence of this inappropriate relationship, and I would let them know, you either leave my child alone or front page it will be. Even if that means that my child can't act anymore, I'd rather her not have that career than be stuck with your ass. But I'm sure her parents felt like, in Korea, where victims are always blamed, they felt like they were between a rock and a hard place. Because that little girl that left her group because the CEO kept trying to fuck her, she's got no career. Her group is going on. Her CEO is still allowed to be in public. Meanwhile, everybody's like, you must have been doing something to capture his attention. Oh, Korea and its misogyny gets on my fucking nerves every single time. But yeah, if I grow up with you, and especially you're a professional actor, let's also talk about that. Anyone that says, oh, he didn't groom her. You, sir, are a professional actor in your late 20s. You've been a professional actor. Of course you've got the skills it takes to convince a fucking 16-year-old that you love them. You've got the skills it takes to convince a fucking 16-year-old that we're Romeo and fucking Juliet, or Bonnie and Clyde, and the world just doesn't understand. And one day we're going to be able to tell the world about this, but we've got to keep it under wraps right now because, you know, with me being who I am, this would ruin everything for us. And when the time comes for me to marry you, I want to give you the world. You think somebody who is not his level of acting couldn't pull off that fucking con? He groomed her. He groomed her, and then when she was of no more use, he decided to wring that fucking towel out and try to get the last droplets of whatever the fuck he could. And the letter that she wrote him, she texted him this letter basically saying, like, you promised you'd take care of me. Please save me. I'm doing everything I can to pay you back. I'm gonna pay you back, but I'm having a hard time. And his company, oh, well, you know, no, he didn't lend her the money. It was the agency. And, you know, we sent that letter of demand, but we didn't really mean it. Who the fuck employs an attorney for anything unless they mean it? You don't have an attorney file a letter of demand unless you really demand to get your fucking money back. So why do you think that any of us would believe that you didn't really mean that she had to give you your money back as soon as possible, even though the legal filings say we need our money back by this date, immediately? And then, oh, well, you know, we were going to wait a week to tell the truth of everything, but, you know, it wasn't even really her aunt that said this, was a friend, and so, you know, there could be some doubt there. And then, you know, our client's mental health. I'm sorry, your client who's in his 30s is sad because he was accused of grooming someone that he waited until they were 18 to date, according to you, even though there are literally pictures that people can date because he's a celebrity and because people who follow celebrities like really follow celebrities, and they could tell that his glasses were purchased in 2015. They could tell he had that hairstyle in 2016. They could tell all these other things that prove that he had been dating that girl since she was a girl. He had been dating that girl since she was a girl. I really love the fact that a lot of us here that are watching are women. Because we know, and we can understand. I wonder if any of the men who stumble upon me by accident understand how hard this is. It's hard for me doubly because I've been that girl and I am that mom. When you make that transition from girl to adult, it's really hard. Because it's not like you wake up one day and your mind is all of a sudden adult. It's more like you wake up one day and you realize you have boobs. That literally is how it is. Your body goes forward before your brain ever has the ability to catch up. I still liked Barbie when I was 12. But by the time I was 12, I had a C cup. By the time I was 12, I had already been getting my period for 3 years because I matured very fast. I had my first period when I was 9 years old. And when I was 9 years old, do you know what I loved more than anything? Saturday morning cartoons and cereal. So much of the outward markers of my body spoke adult. When inside of me, I was a child. And I had to navigate grown men pinching my ass, grown men making comments about my cup size, grown men assuming that I was fast or whatever else because my body had outpaced my mind. And so many times, if they're not just being lecherous towards you, They're tricking you because they know your mind is undercooked. They know you are naive. They look at you and they think to themselves, this is somebody who can't see me coming. A grown woman could see me coming. A grown woman could see the shit I'm talking. A grown woman would hold me accountable for the things I do and say and would expect more of me. But a girl who has no experience dating or really dating, a girl who does not have a job or doesn't have a lot of money, all of a sudden I'm a grown man with big pockets and I'm willing to go pay for dates and I'm willing to buy purses and I'm willing to buy shoes and I'm willing to buy clothes. There are so many ways in which, without him even grooming her, just by dint of him being a full-fledged adult, dating a teenager, even if they didn't have the grooming history, it's wrong. Because mentally, she is at the start of the race and you're already in the middle. She cannot catch up with you. You will always be ahead of her. And by the time she can kind of catch up with you, you probably don't want to race anymore. And a lot of women deal with that. And it's something that I wish more men knew about. Because with boys, other than maybe getting a little bit taller, maybe your jawline firming up, body hair, facial hair, a lot of that brings shame to young boys because of trying to manage hygiene. But I don't know how many of you feel shame about your balls dropping. I don't know how many of you feel shamed about the physical aspects of yourself that you can't hide because you have to live. And a lot of girls experience that. They feel like I should be more adult because I look more adult, but I still have fantasies. I still believe in Cinderella. I still believe in Prince Charming because my mind has not matured enough to feel otherwise. And this man took her from the time when she's like, oh, maybe I've met the one. Maybe this is going to be the love of my life. She probably hadn't dated anybody else before she dated him. He's probably the only man she had ever dated. And he's him. He's a fucking movie star. He is the most well-known man in South Korea. And she's dating him at 16. Girl, that's as bad as being on drugs. I would be so fucking hype if I was that girl. I'd be so fucking hype. But also, I would be immature in my mind and I would not know any better. I would not think it is very weird that this super popular man can't get a bitch his own age and is down here with me. I would be feeling like a character in a fucking fan fiction. I would feel like fucking Bella Swan. I would feel like, oh my God, I must be the best in the world. I must be the girl. I must be it. Because somehow this man has noticed me. And out of all of the women he's kissed on screen, and out of all of the big actresses, the most beautiful women in the world, he chose me. Oh my God, the fairy tales are real. That's what I would be thinking if I was her age and that guy showed up. And it's just unfortunate because she probably looked down at herself. She looked at her developing body and thought, okay, maybe this is what he's interested in. I look grown. Yeah, I'm not as grown as him. I don't have what he has. Yeah, I'm still developing my career, but like, we're in love. He's Prince Charming. He's gonna marry me. It's okay. I can rely on him. He'll take care of me. He'll take care of me. She died thinking he'll take care of her. And when she finally realized he was not going to take care of her, she died. And there's a lot of women in South Korea. There's a lot of women across the globe who have died hoping and trusting that the men in their life would take care of them, and then realizing they're not. They're not. It's just horribly, incredibly sad. And I think even more tragic society-wise than her death is the fact that it takes her death for people to even question whether or not she was telling the truth all along, and that even in her death, she will never see justice, because Kim So-yeon will go away for a year, maybe 6 months, maybe. Hell, if it's really serious, he might go away for 2 years. And then you know what's gonna happen? He's gonna make his big comeback. He's gonna make his big comeback, because they always do. They always do. The only ones who don't get to make their comeback are the people who die from drugs, the ones who get caught with drugs. But when it comes to fucking men, there's never a crime against a woman that can keep a gross man down. But yeah. Heartbreaking. As a mother of a young woman, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I cannot imagine what her mother is going through. I can't imagine all of the things that she wishes she had done differently. I cannot imagine all of the ways she re-examines every single moment that she had in her daughter's life that she could have said no, or could have said stop, or could have just not taken her into a certain room to meet a certain person. I cannot imagine burying your child. I cannot imagine listening to people say all these horrible things about your child while they were alive. I can't imagine watching your child suffer from all of this pressure. I cannot imagine, even in death, having people not respect her. And there's a rumor going on, which I believe it's just a rumor. I'm not going to say it's real, but if it is real, I just got to say, fuck gold medalists forever. Apparently, Won Bin went to Kim Se-ron's funeral, which is amazing, because apparently they were in a movie when she was a child, but he cared enough, a man that she was not sleeping with, cared enough to come to her funeral and pay respect to the child he knew. And there was a rumor that during Se-ron's life, he offered to pay off her debt. I don't know if that's true, probably not, but the rumor is that gold medalists wouldn't allow him to do so. If that rumor is true, I tend not to believe, because it was a massive debt. But if that rumor is true, then there is a special place reserved in the pits of hell for gold medalists. Because if you'll turn down money just because you want to hurt somebody, then that's what you want to do. You want to hurt somebody. You don't care. You just want to hurt somebody. But yeah. I'm going to go. I hate that we had to end this way, but you know, the week calls for commentary. But thank you all for joining me. I do appreciate you being here. I appreciate you talking to me about albums. I appreciate you guys talking with me about current events. I appreciate being able to get this shit off my chest, because gosh, it's been hurting my heart and I haven't been able to think about hardly anything else. And I hope next week brings vindication for Kim Se-ron. I hope that next week sees more people drop this man. Prada has dropped him, which is wonderful. But yeah, to the bitch ass, stank ass, bootlicking ass bitches who still have fan sites open and have the nerve to put out statements talking about, we'll believe you till the end, Oppa. It's just fucking rumors. We're not gonna buy into the propaganda. I hope that you constantly have a yeast infection in your asshole, and I hope it always itches and you cannot figure out the source, and that in the very most visible times in your life you have an unwielding desire to scratch the interior of your ass and you can't get to it because too many people are watching. I wish that fate for you for eternity. All right, you guys, you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.